Hello, Daniel Yuck here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the worst tattoos that I found on the internet, episode 2. If you have any questions at all at any point throughout this video, I encourage you to drop a comment down below. I'll do my best to assist in the best possible direction. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I would greatly appreciate your support. Let's take a look at the first runner-up and see what's wrong with it. For this tattoo, I feel like the placement is pretty bad as it is in the lower back. I do feel like the design is flawed as it's asymmetrical. I do feel like it was applied with improper technique and poor execution, and the style may have been outside of the tattooist's capability range. Throughout all of these bad tattoos that we take a look at here in this episode, you're going to notice one common thing. All of them pretty much have the same flaws in them, just different designs, different executions. However, one thing that I would recommend is to not practice on human skin. The second one is going to be this one right here. I feel like this one, the sizing is not optimal. It does have a flawed design as well. It was executed with improper technique, poor execution. The shading is blotchy and inconsistent in my opinion, and it's probably outside of the tattooist's capability range. This is another reason why we do not want to practice on human skin. Fake skin is the way to go until we get all of our fundamental techniques down. If I miss something that you may see, drop it in the comment section down below. The next one up, this one's definitely going to be all types of wrongs. The placement is not optimized. The design itself is flawed. It's really busy. I don't know what's going on. It's definitely applied with improper technique. You can tell the lines are fluctuating in terms of line weights, and they are crossing into one another. It's just poorly executed. It definitely feels like it's outside of the artist's capability. There's wobbly lines and really poor shading. If this tattooist was trying to accomplish textures, they definitely missed the mark. The next runner-up is going to be this one right here, and let's talk about it. I feel like this one has a really bad font style. The placement is definitely not optimized. The design in general is just completely flawed. It's really busy. It was applied with improper technique and poor execution. It kind of seems like it's outside the tattooist's capability range. There's also wobbly lines, and I feel like they didn't think it through enough. If we take a look, some of the lines are actually blown out while some are hitting the epidermis and some are in the dermis. So this tattoo is going to heal completely inconsistent. The next tattoo up is going to be this one right here. Now, what's wrong with this one is the placement could potentially be bad just based on the techniques that were executed here. The design is flawed, it's really busy, and a lot of it doesn't make sense. The overall technique used to apply this tattoo is definitely improper. We can see that showing through. Poor execution. This may have been outside of the tattooist's capability range. You can see that there's also details tattooing outside the line, and the shading is patchy and blotchy and inconsistent. This right here is a bad tattoo. This next tattoo up isn't necessarily the worst, but I feel like we could still learn from it. This design right here, I feel, could be a little bit better. It may have been just a little bit outside of the artist's capability range, and the white highlights could be better. And again, this is not one of the worst, but I do still see a little bit room of improvement for this one. I feel like the artist should have kind of waited for this sort of design, or to make a design that's a little bit more feasible to apply. However, the shading and all the other work is pretty good. It's pretty consistent, clean and solid, saturated. It looks smooth as well. This one right here, now, this one, if we take a look at the stars, every single star is pretty much wonky and inconsistent. There does look to be some potential overworking, inconsistent stars, wobbly lines. Overall, it was poorly executed. Not the entire thing, but mostly the stars. I feel the stars were the part that was poorly executed, but other than that, the little like warp galaxy and all that looks kind of cool. It does have a sort of textured look to it and packing going on. The next one up is going to be this one right here. This is going to be a back piece. Now, what's wrong with this one are a lot of different things. The placement is definitely not optimized. I do feel like the design is just overall flawed, and it was applied with improper technique and poor execution. This design was definitely outside of this tattooist's capability range. The lines are distorted. They're not clean, solid, or consistent. There's like patchy sort of textures, blotchy, inconsistent shading. Overall, this tattoo has a messy appearance at first read. The next runner-up is going to be this chandelier on a back right here. Now, I do feel like the placement could have been better. The sizing could have also been better. The overall design is definitely flawed, as I can't really see what's going on. There was improper technique used to apply it, and it was poorly executed. I feel like this was outside of the tattooist's capability range, and they weren't really able to execute fine details. If we also take a look, we're going to see patchy and blotchy shading as well as packing. Hopefully by now you can see why we should be practicing on fake skin until we are ready. The next one up is going to be this one right here. Now for this one, I feel like the design could definitely be better. It's potentially outside of the tattooist's capability range. It also consists of inconsistent lining and shading. The design I feel is a little bit flawed and with poor overall execution. Improper technique was definitely used to apply as I can see some blowouts and fluctuating line weights. Overall, this design here has a sort of messy read to it because the shading and textures don't really make any sense or complement the design. The next tattoo up is going to be this one right here, and this is actually one of my favorites. However, I feel like there could be some slight improvements. I feel like it was poorly executed. I feel like we should have used fluctuating line weights. The design is kind of flawed. I feel like we could have done better with the hair. There is a lot of wobbly lines and improper technique used to apply this tattoo, so it could have potentially been outside of the tattooist style or range capability. However, overall, I do love the concept. This is one of my more favorite ones. I just wish it was better executed. The next tattoo that's up is going to be this one right here. Now, I feel like the placement could have been better as it's on the side of a leg, I think. It is a flawed design. There's a lot of like inconsistencies and improper technique. This was poorly executed as well, and this was definitely outside of the tattooist's capability range. There's a lot of lines that don't connect. There's also a lot of wobbly lines, and it has an overall messy appearance. I deem a tattoo bad when we're missing all of the technical fundamentals. The next tattoo up is going to be this one right here. So for this one, I feel like the design is completely flawed. It's a little bit busy. I do feel like there is improper technique used to apply it, so therefore it was poorly executed. This one I feel is also outside of the tattooist's capability range. It consists of also patchy and blotchy shading and packing. None of those are consistent. Not only that, they can't execute fine details, and I feel like they use too heavy of line weights. I feel like there should have been fluctuating line weights within this design instead of all just one line weight. Next one up is going to be this one right here, and pretty much like the last one, I feel like this design could have been a little bit better. It's definitely outside of the tattooist's capability range. It's inconsistent shading, inconsistent lining. Line weights are way too heavy for this design. There should have been fluctuating line weights. Overall, it has a design flaw. It was just poorly executed, improper technique, and has a messy read to it. Now the face, I'm not sure what they were trying to do with the face there, packing it, but that was more harm than good. Another example of why we should be focusing on fake skin until otherwise. This tattoo right here, let's talk about it. This one was poorly executed overall. It has wobbly lines. There are lines that don't connect. There's improper technique, blotchy, patchy shading, inconsistent packing. On top of that, this one could have potentially been outside of the tattooist's capability range. There's just a lot of inconsistencies that really don't mesh well. The read at first impression doesn't really read cleanly either. Because of the permanency involved with tattooing, we should be striving for our best each and every time. This design right here, now this one's not the worst, but I do feel like it's a little bit flawed. The little top jaw area, it's a little bit hard to tell what's going on. I do feel like there are some improper techniques used to apply the shading. The shading is a little bit dark and it has a sort of messy appearance to it. So I feel like if they use maybe some sort of gray wash, different tones and then different shading techniques and pressures to apply the shading, or layers rather, then they would have gotten a smoother read. Although it's not the worst, I just feel like the shading could have been a little bit better. And last but not least, this one right here. So this one is just all kinds of wrong. It's a really bad placement. It's a flawed design. There's patchy, blotchy packing. The band is also uneven. Potential opportunities depleted. Artists can't say no. And it is also okay to tell a client no if you don't think a tattoo would benefit them or their future. Whether or not this one is real is beyond me, but I wanted to go ahead and include it anyway, as I feel like being able to say no as a tattoo artist is very, very important. That'll be it for this one. I appreciate you and your time. If you have any questions, once again, please feel free to drop them in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to assist. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell before you go, and thumbs up this video if you enjoyed this type of content. I appreciate you and your time once again. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Are you wanting to develop your tattooing skill sets? Now you can practice and develop anytime, any place with an assortment of tattooing workbooks that I've created. With these assorted tattooing workbooks, we can practice our basic lining all the way to advanced lining. We can practice shading, shading placement, dot work, textures, and more. All we are gonna need is a tattoo workbook of mine. We can use a pencil, pen. We can even use a tattoo machine with a ballpoint cartridge to develop our tattooing abilities further. That means that we don't need tattoo ink, we don't need napkins or petroleum jelly to get to practicing. Simply open one of my tattooing workbooks and get going. It really is that easy. You can get your hands on one of my developmental tattooing assorted workbooks by simply clicking the links in my description or in the pinned comment section below, or navigate navigating on over to Amazon.com, typing in Daniel Yuck, and you'll see all of the assorted tattoo workbooks that I've created come up. If you have an Amazon account, be sure to follow my Amazon author page as well, as I would greatly appreciate your support. Should you have any questions at all, drop them in the comment section down below. I will do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. Are you needing or wanting tattoo guidance? What about 4K high quality step-by-step follow along tattoo sessions? Or maybe one-on-one tattoo support to get answers to your questions that are specifically tailored to your wants and needs as the artist? You can now become a Patreon where you will gain access to high quality 4K exclusive step-by-step follow along tattoo sessions. I will be tattooing with you in a one-on-one step-by-step manner where I will be explaining what I am doing and why every step of the way. I will also be doing this in a high quality 4K format for your optimal viewing experience. On top of the one-on-one support and on top of the step-by-step tattoo session guidance, you will also gain access to exclusive tattoo stencils that you can download and place on your end to further develop your skill sets. I will leave a link for you in the description or in the pinned comment section below, or you can head on over to patreon.com/Daniel Yuck. When you become a Patreon, you will be getting one-on-one support where you can ask me as many questions as you'd like that are specifically tailored to your wants and needs as the artist. You will gain access to exclusive tattoo stencils that you can download and practice on your end. You'll also gain access to exclusive high quality 4K footage where I walk you through each and every tattoo session in a one-on-one step-by-step manner where I explain all the what's and why's along the way. Become a Patreon today. Thank you for your support in advance. I greatly appreciate you.